Hey, how are you? I hope you had a nice week. I don't quite know how to start this. News? You know how we should start this? I got a big old box of temporary residence records. And I'm going to be talking about that whole thing, but probably the part that affects you most is that you could win these records from temporary residence. I told you guys that if you would subscribe to the podcast and just go straight to the temporary residence site, I put the link down on the side. I don't know where it is, but in the comments section, pick a record you'd like. By the end of the podcast, you might win that record, man. I'm picking 4 winners. So, actually, what's fun also about the way it is that I manage this promotion is we're learning I'm learning as I go along. And I'm pretty keen on introducing these labels to you. Temp-res means quite a bit to me. I like the label quite a bit. And there's a story. Actually, the more I started thinking about it, the more I realized that there's a story behind it. I'm happy to be able to go through the catalog, and even happier to be able to provide you with the opportunity to check it out for yourself and give some of you these prizes. There's some really good stuff in there. There's the link down below. Pick your record and participate in the podcast, and let's see where we go. And good luck. I guess that's as good a place to start as any. Download the podcasts, obviously. Thanks so much for making that happen. In 1 week, we've gotten 600 downloads. It's crazy. This temporary residence thing? Over 200 of you have entered. So it's going to be fun picking a winner. Okay, this is what happens, right? 2 enormous boxes arrive. 2 enormous boxes arrive of records. I said, wow, cool. Everybody's dream come true. And there are entire catalogs of artists on temporary residence. So it's all really nice to be able to talk about it, but then all of a sudden when you're presented, I've followed a lot of these artists, like many of you, right? I guess now streaming is the way to go, but MP3s, I used to be very active on SoulSeek, so a lot of these post-rock bands I got to know through ripping the MP3s down from SoulSeek. Now, there's a very big difference between that and what arrived today, You got a big box of records. I mean, you got to do justice by those records. So for me to just come here and start talking about how what it is that I enjoyed, what it is that I enjoy right here is the opportunity to be able to look at an entire catalog. Temporary residents have been around for 20 years. And I'm talking not just about that label, I'm talking about just in general, right? When you dig into a label, whether it be Impulse or Blue Note or Metal Blade or what's that Jack White one there, Third Man? Is that what it's called? Yeah. Okay, just labels, right? Labels are curated a certain way. The people who run those labels usually have kind of an idea. They have, an aesthetic, and they take a lot of pride in what they release. To have, I think, 9 mono records arrive at once is overwhelming. Most of them are wrapped. It's all really nice to say, oh yeah, sure, I know mono. I've seen mono a bunch of times. That's true, I have. And it's all really nice to say that I know the catalog, but knowing the catalog and then being able to actually talk about the catalog is 2 completely different things. Grabbing a bunch of stuff and listening to it just haphazardly on iTunes after you've downloaded it is a completely different thing than being able to track an artist's career and go from the first record to the latest record and see how their sound evolved. You know, Iron Maiden with Diano way at the beginning is not Iron Maiden of today with the guy that jumps around all the time, Yannick Gers. Can somebody tell me what the point of Yannick Gers is in Iron Maiden? I really want to know. This fucking guy, all he does is he jumps around on stage. I've seen him. So don't talk. I've seen Iron Maiden a dozen times, maybe 4 times with Yannick Gers. How does this guy play his guitar if he's jumping around all the time? That seems to be his role. I don't get it. I didn't think I was going to be talking about Iron Maiden, but yeah, all this is to say that you track an artist. Now, when it came down to it, how many of these artists do I really know? Explosions in the Sky. No, man, I know the name. Mono. Seen him live, open for High on Fire, amazing. And I know this real well. Under the People Tree, because this is the record that started all of it for me. Their very first record, Under the People Tree, was put out by Ecstatic, originally only on CD. Ecstatic is John Zorn's label. And it's a label that's uniquely on CD, I believe, still to this day. And it was a hugely influential label for me because Zorn, I mean, I don't know if he's a genius. I don't know what the hell he is, but he's prolific and he's got taste and he is afraid of nothing. So I knew that whenever it is that I'd pick up a Ecstatic CD, I'd pick up something that was just really out there, right? And my fascination with Japan and Japanese art started around the same time as Ecstatic. So John Zorn had so much to do with me getting into Japanese art. And before that, his label was what, Jazz Rack or something? I forgot. He had a couple of labels, but Ecstatic's the big one, right? This was released on CD, and I bought it because it was Japanese. And back then, I spent a lot of time in the car, so on an experimental label, Japanese, that was good enough for me. So, you know, I plopped down whatever it is that it cost. And financial advisor, big money, big money, big money. No problem buying that shit. So drop that thing, because what it is that I would do is a lot of the times when I'd go visit my clients, getting there was one thing, right? Because there's all this prep work that happens in your head to make sure that you do a good job and so on and so forth. The drive back is a completely different thing, because what happens is, you know, you usually you start working with somebody, I don't know, whatever, 7:30 or something, and you put everything into it. It's even partially a performance, because you're there to answer their questions and you've done the thing so many times that you know what the objection is going to be, so you kind of just answer it. And by the end of the night, you're so completely drained, putting all of your energy trying to sell something you hate. So by the time those appointments were over, fuck, I was drained, man. A weird kind of drained where it's just you have nothing left, but on the other hand, your head is just, everything's so lit up because you've utilized every aspect of your brain. So everything, your brain is utilized, like it just lit up, but you're exhausted, so you can't go to sleep, you know. And a lot of times these appointments would end like at midnight or something. And what I'm getting at when it comes to the music is the ride home. Post-rock became a huge part of that ride home, and it was a CD thing. Having this stuff again on vinyl is fun, but when you think of post-rock, a lot of that really just completely personified exactly where it is that I was, right? Where you work to make your living and you earn a commission from the fruits of your labor. So that's fun, right? But then you realize that even though that's really ultimately noble, all work is noble. All work is noble, man. You wash the floors, it's noble. It's fucking noble. But you got to be happy. So you're doing this thing and you're unhappy. And Temporary Residence soundtracked that entire thing because the music seemed to capture it so well. I'd be driving home a lot, let's say 11:30, midnight, real late. Not too many people on the road, and you know, you'd have these kind of like gentle piano washes happening, and mournful sometimes, and just very contemplative, that eventually just ran the entire spectrum of emotions to fuck out and outrage. To be driving home, 45 minutes and being in a cabin, a nice cabin. I used to drive nice cars. So to be in a really nice cabin with a nice stereo, having this music envelop you as you're completely jacked but trying to come down. Fuck, man, I wonder why I'm bipolar. That's why I'm bipolar, man. The whole thing, getting this catalog has made me put so many of those things into perspective, right? Because the music is the soundtrack of your life, ultimately. Says a lot about you. I listened to metal exclusively. Yeah, I was that angry. Going from top to bottom, going from different moods, personifies the entire collection here. The idea of building a collection, a record collection, to me, I don't know what it's like for you guys, but the idea of building a record collection to me is whatever I'm thinking, no matter the occasion, no matter the mood, there is something to accompany me. There is a sound to accompany me. There is something. Because I didn't have people. I didn't like people. I still don't like people. And growing up, the world scared me. So what I'd do is close myself up in my room and plaster the entire motherfucking room with posters, and it was metal posters. So, you'd have Dio, and you'd have Black Sabbath, and you'd have Iron Maiden, and I had a boombox. So, a bunch of tapes, my turntable, and blast everything that's happening in the world out. Nothing but the music. Ozzy's a pretty fucking good companion. Iron Maiden's a really good companion. Because they understood my rage, and they were people that I wasn't afraid of. Because, wow, where am I going with all of this? You know what? I am going somewhere with all of this. Have you guys ever, Scorsese, right? Martin Scorsese, big old director. Have you ever seen the movie Mean Streets? I grew up in that neighborhood. I swear, I watched it yesterday again. I watched the movie yesterday again just so that I can see, is this some kind of romantic idea that I have in my head that I grew up in these rough streets around these mooks? And it's like, nah, man, I grew up exactly around these people. Holy fuck, man. Italian neighborhoods, old Italian neighborhoods for first generation Italians born here. All that stuff that you see on Scorsese movies, it's all 100%. Hey, do you see me? This fucking video. I can't stand Facebook Live. This fucking video stuff sucks my balls. It sucks my fucking collones. How much it fucking sucks, Facebook Live. Fuck you, Facebook Live. Fucks. And on top of that, you know what's going to happen after all of this? It's going to swallow up my feed. I got to make sure that I got downloaded right away so that Facebook doesn't just completely take away what's been happening. Wow, we've been talking about music, right? Okay, so check. This is what happens, right? I buy Expedit shelves or Kallax shelves as often as I possibly can. I saw some for sale, and hey, man, used shelves, fantastic. Nice, cheap, you know, right? So she sells me her shelves. I go pick them up with my daughter, and we come back, and I was trying to tell her, you know, why they're perfect size for records. And there you see, you want to know why it is that I get these records? I don't know why I even tell people these stories, but you want to know why I want these shelves, why I like them? These shelves, if you put them, you grab these records, boom, they're perfect to put in records, to which she responds, you want records? Of course I want records, right? Well, okay, sure. Yeah, let me see. So, from Saint Michel, right? My neighborhood. Mean streets. Italian mooks everywhere. People just like me, and they're all... Okay. So, you know, Aerosmith. Shoots the shit, though. Good collection. Golden Platinum, Lynyrd Skynyrd, right? Beautiful collection, if it all was in perfect shape. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, again, can't be used. Rolling Stones. Santana's Greatest Hits. Gorgeous covers. So, and then the inevitable, Led Zeppelin. I won't get there quite yet, but I told her, you know, I'm kind of cool with the fact that you're giving me your roached records, because what do I do with these? Put them all around the room. This here, my laboratory, right? It's a tribute to music. It's a tribute to art. Even when somebody gives you a cover and the record's no good anymore, you staple it up somewhere, it's just, it becomes a living, breathing monument to art and music that changes with every single album that you post up on it. So I have told her, you know, this is exactly what I'm going to do, man, so thanks. And then I move on. Fucking Led Zeppelin, right? Led Zeppelin. I don't hate Led Zeppelin. I really don't hate Led Zeppelin. I know every Led Zeppelin album. I know them well, just like everybody else, right? You know how in Martin Scorsese they played all that doo-wop music in Mean Streets? Well, in the mean streets of Saint Michel and Saint Leonard and the Italian areas, the WAP areas of Montreal, the soundtrack was Led Zeppelin and Queen. And you couldn't get away from it. Every Italian had exactly the same fucking record. Hey, Zepp! Led Zeppelin! Everybody. You couldn't get away from, hey, Zepp! Now, it's really good, you understand? I've had these cassettes, like, I mean, I had Zeppelin 1. I used to play my uncle's copy at 3. And I've had them my entire life, and I love this music. But then, all of a sudden, what you watch happen is, as you get older, all these fucking meatheads, fucking dumber than a box of rocks, fucking meatheads, co-opt Led Zeppelin and make it become, hey, Led Zeppelin, fucking Led Zeppelin, they're fucking awesome. And it sort of takes away from the pleasure of having grown up listening to How Many More Times and thinking it was the heaviest song in the world and loving it. It just took all that away, because all of a sudden these fucking people who terrorized me are all Led Zeppelining, and it's like, you're a fucking cocksucker. I'm angry today. Ooh. So she had a bunch of these records in there, and these were actually in decent shape. This Saint Michel chick. So I go, and the house looks exactly like the house that I grew up in. during, I don't know, what, 7 to 15 or something like that. The rough years looked exactly the same. And I noticed that, there was some renovation going on, and the guy next to doing the renovation next door was helping me bring the shelves down. And I look at him, it's like, I know that face. We start talking, we start mentioning names, we start mentioning schools we went to. This is a person I went to elementary school with. And his wife gave me the Led Zeppelin records. So, yeah, Vito, I got your sister's records, or I got your wife's records. Who fucking remembers? Led Zeppelin. So the thing with this is that I try so hard, like, radio ruined it for me. Honestly, radio ruined it for me, and just having it around force-fed to me is something I couldn't handle. The rock and roll, that drum thing, if you're a hockey fan, it's torture. It's like it's always on. So I just reached a point where enough, and I made a point of trying to get rid of my Led Zeppelin records. It's impossible to get rid of Led Zeppelin records when you collect vinyl. It's impossible. They keep coming back. So I do everything that I can to trade these records away to somebody for something that's a little bit different, something that's not as played out to me, right? Good stuff, but played out for me, so I need a break. It's just, I'm all Zeppelined out. And once I do that, I give away others. Zeppelin 4, I'm not kidding, at one point I think I must have had 5 or 6 copies of it. I couldn't get rid of it fast enough. Turn on a fucking hockey game and it's just rock and roll. So I needed to purge. Not because I don't like them, but it's just, name your favorite food, whatever your favorite food is, all right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to make foie gras out of you. We're going to take your favorite food, fucking force feed it down your throat. We're going to plunge it down your throat. Tell me how much you like your food after a while. So, lo and behold, Zeppelin 2 came home yesterday, and Zeppelin 3 came home yesterday with the little wheel, and Houses of the Holy came home yesterday, and Physical Graffiti came home yesterday as well. All records that I've been trying to get rid of, but just keep fucking following me like an albatross. Just when I thought I got rid of my final copy of Zeppelin 4, I gave it away to somebody online. Just gave it away. So, all right, I don't have Zeppelin 4 in my collection anymore. I go look through my piles. I found another 2 copies of Zeppelin 4. Another 2 copies. And as I was going through all of this, I didn't find a cover of Zeppelin 4, so I thought to myself, tender mercies. But no, that was not to be either, because this chick, she fucking steamrolled her records. It's crazy. Like, you see, like, chair marks. It's crazy, the stuff that's... There's a Led Zeppelin 4 there without the cover, so God only knows what happens to the cover. And it just keeps following me. And the worst part about it, can I tell you what the worst part about it is? For a record I'm trying to get rid of, this particular one, okay? Can you see this? Let me give you here. Can you see this? You see the tape at the top, okay? That tape was attached to saran wrap all around the record. This record used to look exactly like that. Tape all around, saran wrap. What she did, I have no idea, but she went fucking mental with the Scotch tape. What she did was she taped Scotch tape all along here, okay, so that there would be saran wrap, and then wrapped it up and taped it again inside. This is tape that's been there since the 80s. It's like 30, 40-year-old tape. It was a fucking nightmare getting rid of. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm doing all of this for a record I've been trying to get rid of. It's like, fuck, man. You don't want to say you hate the record because it's Led Zeppelin. I mean, and if you say that Led Zeppelin, you hate Led Zeppelin, then you're a fucking moron because, you know, force feed Led Zeppelin, yes. Lots of force feed bands. But I've got an almost complete Led Zeppelin collection again. I can add it to the copy of Presents that I got a couple of months ago, and the 2 copies of Zeppelin 4. I'm pretty sure I'll find something else. But can I give you a hack? We'll talk about a hack, okay? I'll give you a couple of vinyl hacks to help. The reason it is that I'll mention this one is because, like I said, there was tape all over this record, and I needed to get it off, right? So there was tape just like you see all along the edge here. Right? Now, if you try to remove old tape, it gets extremely gummy, and it's entirely possible that you tear the cover off. You don't want to damage your cover, as damaged as these were already. Still, a little TLC. So what can you do in order to get rid of that without without damaging the cover? I'm sure they sell different brands elsewhere, but brake cleaner. This basically makes it easier to just wipe all the schmutz and the grease off of brake parts so that you can change them. It's almost all alcohol, so it evaporates like that immediately. And what you do is you just follow the piece of tape and spray, and it comes all off. Real easy. Whenever it is that you have to get adhesives off of record covers, this one's called Gum Out Brake Cleaner. I've done it for many records. I swear it works. I'm not making this shit up. And I don't damage the records. I know that I have another hack somewhere. You know what? I'm going to do another hack. Yeah, Serge, the tape dries up, but then there's the tape residue that you got to get rid of. Gum Out, man. This stuff works. I'm not kidding. It doesn't damage your records. I know. Anal retentive. It works. It works, man. So to Anna, thanks for the records. And yeah, I know, Led Zeppelin's awesome. All right, I'm going to do another hack. Let's get the hack out of the way. You know how it is that I keep telling you guys, don't leave the plastic on your records? And yes, as I'm saying that, I'm leaving the plastic on my records. That's because I'm getting sleeves for them soon. But I keep telling you, leaving plastics on the records is not protection. You're not protecting your records. You're going to damage your records. Can I show you an example so that we can put this to rest forever? One of the reasons is not necessarily that the plastic shrinks, even though it is called shrink wrap, but in humid temperature, molecules expand, right? What happens to paper? It expands, right? Wood, it expands, right? This is what happens when you keep your records in the shrink wrap. So the dipshit who used to own this record was concerned with making everything look all fucking spack, right? He wanted the thing to look good. What in fact he did is he damaged the record. So I have a record of Romanian folk songs that I love, and I did not remove the cover because I wanted to show you an example. How does that happen? Like I've told you, humidity expands the paper. Got nowhere to go. The plastic can shrink. You get a damaged record. Put it in a sleeve. Remove this. Now the good news is that what the dipshit wanted to do and keep the cover new, it's new. The bad news is, you see this, all this warp, that's never disappearing. You can't put that away. You can't do anything. I mean, you can try ironing it, but keeping the shrink wrap on is not a replacement for a nice loose sleeve. Loose sleeves protect against ring wear, and they're nice and loose, man. You follow what I'm saying? You care about your records. You're not caring about them by leaving the shrink wrap on. Give them a couple of summers. Give it some humid weather. Watch your records fuck up. Get sleeves, man. It's an investment, right? Everybody talks about the investment of their records. Well, 10-cent sleeve, 15-cent sleeve, get them in a pack of 100. You know, the better ones cost more. It makes sense. So that's hack number 2. First hack is to remove glue and gunk. You can use brake cleaner. And the second is make absolutely certain that you take the shrink wrap off your records or you're fucking them all up. What do I do now? Do I go back to talking about mono? A catalog of 30 records. I'm going to take the time to know that catalog. I'm going to listen to all mine of the mono records in order. I want to see what the band is up to, how they evolved. William Basinski, again, 4 records. I'm just going to follow the entire thing. You know what's fun, though? What's a lot of fun about the way it is that we did this promotion this time to kind of like get you guys to check out the temporary residence catalog. I said over 200 of you entered, is that we asked you to put the links, right? So that you can expand and listen to the music. One thing that's obvious is that everybody's looking for the new Mogwai record. Everyone wants that. But it was always fun. Those weren't the ones I kept looking at. The ones I kept looking at are the records that I didn't know at all. And the fun part of Vinyl Junkies and the fun part about nerding out about records with people is the sharing of information and the sharing of experiences. So, you know, Basinski is going to go down as one of my best albums of the year. There's no doubt. The other ones I don't know yet, but I don't have any Explosions in the Sky. I've never bought a CD from Explosions in the Sky. I may have listened to it in my Soulseek days. So that's to say, you know, blending stuff in, but I don't have any deep knowledge. I see you guys posting this Explosions in the Sky record all the time. One of you may actually win it. This is the other one that I see that you keep putting up. You're putting up all of these records that it's going to be a whole lot of fun discovering and seeing what you guys thought was so amazing. And what I'm looking forward to is interacting with you, because I'm a novice. I don't know Explosions in the Sky, man. I'm new to all of this. Can you imagine? Go back to the day that you didn't know anything. You didn't know any of it, and you listened to it all for the first time. That's about to happen with this. This is sealed, man. They're all sealed. I haven't checked them out yet. What kind of a ride am I going on? It's going to be fun, but I'd love to hear what you guys thought too, because I know you guys have followed them since forever. You know, what's in store for me? I got that with Grails in there. I got that with a few things. And rather than, I don't know, do something as puerile really as say that this is an 8 out of 10 or that kind of thing. Let's see what we can do about talking about the experience. But this record says, Pitchfork called it a revelatory listen and gave it an 8.9. Holy fuck, an 8.9 from Pitchfork. That must be really good, like almost White Album good. A Heavenly Racket. Nothing short of awe-inspiring. One of the best records of 2001. Are they right? I'll find out. I'm going to finish with a review of this cartridge right here, the Soundsmith SMMC3. That's coming up. Great cartridge. You'll want to listen. Let me just do some Alice Coltrane. Whew, it's finally arrived. Music released on Luwaka Bop. It's part of a World Classics series of music that they're doing. Luwaka Bop, you know, does a lot of world music, so it doesn't surprise me. But this is a compilation of music that was only available in private tapes, and she recorded it. Alice Coltrane recorded the ecstatic music of Alice Coltrane. All of this was culled from private tapes that were sold only at her ashram, where this stuff was recorded. The album was mastered by the person who originally recorded it. There's tons of interviews, anecdotes. It's a treasure trove of music, of the music of Alice Coltrane from 1980 to, I believe, the mid-90s. Nice liner notes. You know, they have these really nice booklet style too, like 2 of these type of booklets. What it is that I'm trying to tell you is that this is more than a reissue. This is music that's come out for the first time ever, firstly. So this is it, man. First print. This is it. It's in a very important part of a very important artist, and it fills a complete missing link. This music didn't exist for the public, and now we have it. And I put the needle on. I dropped the needle on the thing and was completely taken by surprise, because I have an idea of Alice, right? From the late 60s stuff to when she played with Coltrane, you know, all the way into the 70s with Pharoah Sanders and so forth. She was very much a creator of spiritual jazz, and it's very clear that the 4 years that she spent with John, married to John Coltrane, just completely affected her, as it affected everyone else. So from that moment forward, her music always had the higher end of spirituality. So she opens up a 45-acre ashram temple just outside Los Angeles and records this music. And I'm used to, you know, I'm coming from kind of like a freer spiritual jazz background where I'm expecting something like Pharoah Sanders, and some of the synth on this record sounds like it could soundtrack Blade Runner. It's transcendent, but it's like it brings you to other planets. I was not expecting this kind of, I mean, for the 80s, modern synth sound at all. Fucking goosebumps doesn't even begin to tell you the experience that you'll have listening to this. Give yourself a chance to, if you haven't heard it, by the way, buy it. Just buy it, drop the needle. It needs to be heard. Side C is the side that I keep going back to, and how funny, because side C begins with Journey to Satchidananda, and it sounds like something Vangelis would do. The beginning of it sounds like something Vangelis would do. Just these big washes of synth. Again, you know, I could imagine, as much as it's a very transcendent music. It's a very otherworldly. There's that spiritual quality. There's something so ominous to a part of it that makes it sound like it could even soundtrack the murder of somebody in a movie. Really tripped out. But Journey of Satchidananda on this sounds nothing like on the original LP. As a matter of fact, it just kind of like just crescendos into this big thing, and then there's like just this void that's filled by a chorus of voices, and it's like the heavens opened up and you're being fucking welcomed to heaven, man. I'm profoundly moved by what's in this record. And I can't wait for part 2. And as much as there's a lot of good reissues, this has never been issued before. Nothing. I can't see anything beating this as the reissue of the year. It's that good. Needless to say, this Alice Coltrane record is a classic Alice Coltrane record. This is where the song Journey in Satchidananda originally came from. It's the opening song, and this is the Pharoah Sanders stuff. Look for the records, but Waka Bop never goes wrong, man. the ecstatic music of Alice Coltrane. It's one of the most important jazz records in terms of archive. The world found something important. This to me is a document. There's no other way to put it. And I'll keep showing you this just to give you the visual, because it's only coming out in the first week of August, but I'll show you the visual so that you know what to look for. Greatest hits compilation of Hank Williams songs done by other Sun artists. Now I'm going to review this cartridge. Can we see it properly? This is the Soundsmith SMMC3 cartridge. Okay. And you'll notice that it comes mounted on its very own head shell. It's an optional head shell, but for those of you who use turntables that use head shells, it's important to have a good head shell. Okay, I guess we're going to talk about the head shell before we talk about the actual cartridge. It's important to have a good, steady head shell. Okay, so if you have a plastic head shell, anything that vibrates, vibrations are no good. Here you have one that's made of solid wood, okay, with some really easy screws to make the whole job of mounting your cartridge extremely easy. And a super impressive thing, you'll notice that there's a little screw here. That little screw allows you to tighten this area and turn this part, right? So you can turn your cartridge, with this Soundsmith head, all right, you can turn the cartridge this way. Why do you want to do that? That's called azimuth. Okay, why do you want to do that? It's pretty simple. Basic cartridge, you want the needle to go in perpendicular at a 90-degree angle into the groove so that it catches every bit of the groove. When a needle bends a little bit, or it shifts, or there's a warp, there's something, sometimes the needle isn't directly there. So what you can do is you can adjust what they call, again, the azimuth. You're able to move it so that your needle, your stylus, just drops as accurately into the groove as possible. So Soundsmith, when they gave me my review copy of the SMMC3, provided me with this head shell because they knew that I was going to be testing on a few turntables, one of them being the 1200, the 1210, actually, Techniques, the legendary Wheels of Steel, right? Now, this here is actually a cartridge that's mounted on a special head shell. The cartridge itself is quite tiny, okay? The reason for that is that these Soundsmith cartridges were originally made only for Bang & Olufsen turntables. Okay, so the ones with the really, really, really thin arms. Okay, very, very small cartridges. This is a very small, extremely light cartridge. And it was originally made for Bang & Olufsen. The thing is you're not going to see a lot of B&O turntables anymore. So what they did at Soundsmith is a bit of advanced thinking. They developed the adapter, which is mounted to the bottom here, okay, that you can then just plug the original B&O cartridge in so that you have that quality of cartridge and that reputation, right? Why do we buy a lot of cartridges? Because we know the name. Why do people buy Orthophone 2M Blues and Red, Because they know what they're getting. Same type of thing. B&O people know what these cartridges are, so it allowed that to continue, but it allowed that technology or that reputation for quality to be accessible to people who don't have B&O turntables. So they created a little adapter in which you can put all 4 cartridges. This is part of a line of cartridges of 4. So this is the next step up the ladder. The first one is the SMMC4, which at a $200 price range, I guess I would compare to the Orthophone 2M Blue. If I had to do a head-to-head in order to see, to get an honest idea of what we're looking for, I'd probably compare it to something like that, or an Audio-Technica there, the 97XE, that kind of thing, This one here is the level up, which is the SMMC3. The reason they sent me that is because I was comparing it to a Nagaoka. I like to change cartridges. I like to see the different perspectives of cartridges. Every cartridge presents a different character to the music. It presents your music in a different way. So Nagaoka is a cartridge that everybody raved about. I listened to it and loved it, was blown away by it. But that was kind of like my comparison point in terms of price point also, the MP200, right? So they send me, Soundsmith sends me the SMMC3. And my first thing, similar, cheaper, less expensive, and a little bit better in the most overall way I can say, and let me get into a little bit of detail. The one big complaint that I had with the Nagaoka MP200 is that I found it too surgical, too precise. Okay, it revealed so much detail. It removed, it stripped so much of the distortion and revealed so much detail that it just sounded too surgical. You know, the bass pumped. And as the cartridge got a little older, it pumped some more, but there was something, the boom bap, I don't know, man. I left with that. Now, the boom bap is here. That's to say that it handles, the SMMC3 handles the bass extremely well. And that surgical element that I, had reservations on when it came to the Nagaoka is not present here at all. So all of a sudden, what it is that they've done, if they've provided an option for a good cartridge that compares to, still the MP200 is a very well-known, very well-respected cartridge for that price range for a cheaper price and with an adapter that allows you to just plug and play, and you can go all the way up the line. So I think they have 4 or 5 cartridges up the line. The SMMC1 is a couple of levels above this, and it's like, sometimes I ask myself, like, how far do you go, right? Peter Letterman, the guy, the engineer, the founder of Soundsmith, the guy's a genius. I mean, he crafts $10,000, $15,000 cartridges, and that's where it is that I get to my point. It's like, I mean, really? I mean, what's the difference here? You're buying a cartridge the price of a car. But the first thing that I noticed when it is that I began dealing with Soundsmith is the level of professionalism. This is not a put on. Every last detail counts. Before they sent me the cartridge, Peter called me personally to make sure that he knew exactly what my setup was, to make sure that I was perfectly equipped to test his product. It was very clear he took great pride in this product. And that was an impression I was left with immediately. The thing is that I listened to a cartridge like this, and what do you do when it's the best cartridge you've ever heard? Make me listen to something better. I practically can't even imagine what I can hear that much difference, because when I was playing that Led Zeppelin record, we're back to Led Zeppelin, fucking Led Zeppelin. I was playing Led Zeppelin 2 yesterday. Enjoyed it too. I actually found myself kind of like shaking my ass and stuff. So just to show you that I really do like Led Zeppelin. But, listening to Zeppelin 2, a record that I grew up with, I've listened to that record for over 40 years. And for the first time in that long, to hear something in John Paul Jones's bass and realize just what a fucking beast bass player he is, like I've never heard before. Now, this is a record I've heard hundreds of times. Okay, well, that's what happened yesterday when I played a beat-up copy of Led Zeppelin 2 with the SMMC3 cartridge. So, what's the 2 like? What's the 1 like? Then they have one called The Voice. I'm a dumbass. I don't know the difference between a ruby cantilever and a straight edge. And I hope to learn from my partnership with Soundsmith and present that information to you in the most utilitarian and basic schmo language possible, because I'm not a techie. I trust my ears, though. And I know what I hear, and I like my cartridges, and I like my stuff to sound good. This has made it sound better than any cartridge I've ever heard. And I certainly hope to have the opportunity to see what the hell the difference is between this and a cartridge that's worth twice, 3 times, 4 times more. Hey, I'll keep my mind open, but it's crazy. And then I go back to my conversation that I had with Peter. It was a 1-hour conversation at least, and he gave me his elevator speech of the 101 of how he builds his cartridges. And it all made so much sense. And I'm not a science guy at all, but it all made so much sense. And it just kind of puts you in the mind of somebody whose attention to detail is such that, you know how you buy a Maytag because you trust Maytag as the brand? After having spoken to Peter Letterman and after having tried the cartridge, I trust Soundsmith. I trust Soundsmith. He's not going to let garbage leave his lab. It's not going to happen. On top of that, I'm told by, I'm told that he has a cutting lathe in his lab as well. You know, what they use to cut the records? The guy knows the insides and outs of this cutting lathe. So as he's making these cartridges, and a lot of them are handmade cartridges, by the way, he's got the equipment and understands the minutest details of it. So it's really easy for me to say that Soundsmith equals quality. I'm happy with this cartridge. I'm really happy with this cartridge. And it got me to hear John Paul Jones's bass on Led Zeppelin 2 in a way that I haven't ever heard it the previous hundreds of times I've heard it before. I don't say that lightly, man. But it delivered. It delivered, you know. You got to give it where it's due. How much better is the 2? Can't tell you. All I know is I trust my ears. Soundsmith, guys. It's good. The head shell, for those of you that use screw-on head shells, you know, like the Wheels of Steel, like the Techniques and that kind of thing, or the Stantons, you want to add a little something to it. This, with the azimuth adjustment, is definitely a nice little add-on, not to mention that it's really sharp looking. But that's my review, all right? I'm done. How many minutes did I fill? 54. Although things all got fucked up. Now I'm going to pick records, right? Let's do this. Let's pick winners. Let's pick winners. I apologize for being all over the place today. Winners. I already have some winners, by the way, which I chose for those of you that signed up to the podcast before and visited. A lot of you did this. Like I said, before this podcast even started, before this broadcast even started, there were over 200 people who went and picked a prize. So there's a lot of you in this to win the prizes. And, well, lucky you. They're amazing prizes. But I've picked a couple ahead of time, okay? So let's get to those first. I know you're going to wait. You know why you're going to wait? Because I'm giving away free shit. So you want to know if you won. Sorry, man. I'm not trying to take a long time. It's just, you know, notes. Temporary residence. No, I don't have the fucking notes. All right. I'm going to use Eric's name. There's one name that I'm using for absolutely certain, and that's Dave Mace. Mace, you're getting a record. Dave Mace is he's a mod here at the Vinyl Junkies. Has been here for a long time. Very, very tied into the post-rock scene and a lot of that type of thing. So mono seems to be a very big deal to him. As a matter of fact, he posted, I know, I mean, he's posted mono so many times, but, you know, had mentioned when I posted my copy of Under the People Tree that, you know, he had lost his 2 children during that time, lost contact for a period of 10 years, and, you know, a whole bunch of really bad things that this music got him through, you know. So mono got him through some bad shit. And as far as I know, Dave, I forgot which one, but you're missing one mono record. What you're going to do is let me know which mono record it is, okay, and we'll get temporary residents to make sure that we complete your collection. You'll have every mono record. God bless you, dude. You're awesome. Now we're going to choose others. All right. Dude, we got newbies. Newbies are getting prizes. I like it. I dig it. I dig it. All right. Troy Lancaster. Yeah, I know that name. Troy Lancaster. You just won yourself a whatever you chose from the temporary residence library. Eric will contact you, and we're going to send that to you. Congratulations. Longtime members, eh? Fucking Saft is talking, eh? Does Saft actually want this? Saft. I still got to talk about your Iggy Pop record, Saft, and I still got to talk about your Serenity Knowles record. No, that's the Iggy Pop record, but yeah, there's another one. I haven't forgotten. I know. The Trio, yeah. The Trio. Who do I pick? Yeah, dude. I'm going to give this record to Saft. I'm going to give this record to Saft. And I'm going to give another one. Nah, fuck Saft. You get the record. Why am I all tied up about this? All right. So, yeah, look, I'm done, man. I'm done. Sorry for mumbling as much as I mumble. And what we're going to do now is say goodbye. All right? Thanks. Peace. Enjoy your day. Ciao.